Chip back here today to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that's shop safety. You know, woodworking is inherently dangerous. Everything we have in the shop is by definition sharp. If it's not sharp, we sharpen it. If we can't sharpen it, we send it out to be sharpened. And if it can't be sharpened, we throw it away and buy something new that is sharp. Everything that we have, whether it's designed to poke like a scratch awl, or to be able to slice or chop like a chisel, or cut like a knife, or even bore like a drill bit, braid, sandpaper, saw with sharp teeth on these saws. All of these things by themselves are very dangerous to use, and that's before we ever put a power element to it. Probably the most dangerous piece of equipment that we have in the shop is the table saw. You've seen the statistics. There are 9,300 amputations a year, and that was in 2014, the last year for data, on the table saw in the United States. So a really dangerous piece of equipment. So how do you know the safe way to use this? Well, there are a lot of videos out there of people that I believe show unsafe ways of doing it. My point of view is simply this. Make sure you read, follow, and understand all of the information that's contained in the operating manual for every piece of equipment you have. The people that designed this equipment are the ones that really know what the limitations are, and they'll spell those out very clearly and very concisely in the operating manual. And if you follow it, for the most part, you'll be very safe. I'm a fan of Norm Abrams. I watched the New Yankee Workshop. I've watched every episode multiple times, and Norm always said in his safety monologue that there's no more important rule than this, and that's to wear these safety glasses. And I agree with that. In fact, here at the shop, we don't let anybody come in here and work unless they put on a pair of safety glasses. We've got safety glasses stationed around the shop at different places so that even if you were to come in here and go to the drill press or something and think, ooh, I'll just do this one thing, I don't want to walk over and get a pair of safety glasses. Those safety glasses are within almost an arm's reach of every piece of equipment we have. But one of the things I have a departure on with New Yankee Workshop and with many of the videos out there is they'll put a disclaimer on their video that says something like, guards and guides removed for clarity of video. Here's what I will tell you, folks. We have a lot of fun here doing these videos. Whether you enjoy watching them or not, we're having a lot of fun making them. I will never show a video where I have to remove the guard or the guide from my saw or from any other piece of equipment so that you can see it more clearly. If you have to be able to see it that way and it can't be visualized without the removal of the guard, I'm not the one to show it to you, because I just don't believe you should ever do that, and I'm going to practice what I preach. It'd be nice if we had tools that would, like this, that would do the work by themselves. Maybe a table saw that would self-cut, or maybe a sander that would sand wood by itself, etc. You get the idea. And the other way to do it, of course, you could hire help. I hired a guy to help me, a little guy named Bob, and I taught Bob a lot about safety, and I thought he was following most of the rules until I came in the shop one day and I caught him doing this. And as you can see, I had to fire Bob, because that's certainly not the way we use a push stick on the table saw. Now, a little bit of tongue-in-cheek there, but you get the idea that you really need to be safe on these. On my saw all the time, push block and a push stick. They're always sitting there on the saw. They're attached magnets to the top of the fence, so they're always in there. And even when I move the fence, they're always within an arm reach. So I always want to be able to get a hold of that. If I have to do any action that requires me to remove the overarm guard from the table saw, like a non-through cut, I use a riving knife that's made for this saw. I'm very fortunate to have a saw stop. And one of the biggest safety features of it, and people would say, is the fact that it stops a blade. I think one of the biggest safety features is the riving knife system and the kickback system that they have, because that's really where a lot of those accidents happen. So a lot about shop safety and sharp things. Let me give you one other thing to think about when you think about shop safety, and it's simply this: it's dust. Now, today we're not doing any work here in the wood shop, and we are fortunate enough to have a small particle meter here that measures small particles of dust, less than 10 microns. And regardless of what the numbers mean, I'll just give you an idea. Anything under 150 small particles is acceptable. Ideally, on a day when we're not doing any work, I want to see it in the 20s at the highest. Now, on a day when we're doing work and we've got the equipment running, sanders, saws, etc., those numbers will get up in the 150 and sometimes close to the 200 range, and that's when we have to be very, very cautious of what we're doing. We're fortunate we have a Cyclone vac that's hooked to every piece of equipment. I have an overhead air handler with a filtration system on it, and when I run those and I handle them properly and I do the right things, I can maintain the air quality while we're working in the shop in the good range. Now, why do I tell you this? I tell you this because we're fortunate to have that small particle meter. Most small shops don't have that, couldn't afford to go buy one. But there are days when I come into this shop and I'll look around and I'll think, wow, the air in here is fantastic. There's not a bit of dust. And it's that fine dust, you know, that stuff that you see laying on the tools and so on when you come back in that is settled, that is really the danger to you. And I might look around and think it looks great, and then I look at the particle meter and I realize there's 150 or 135 particles of dust still in the air being collected. I tell you this because just be very cognizant of the dust in your shop. So when you come into your shop, you look around and you think the air is great and it's fantastic. Know that there's still dust in here just from you walking into the shop and moving around. You're stirring up those small particles. Dust masks, even the paper kind, all of that stuff is really, really important to wear. It's the one thing we don't think of. Nobody uses a table saw and thinks that it isn't possible to get cut, or some of these other tools, even a razor knife or a pocket knife. But the dust, sometimes we don't think of, and it can build up your lungs and cause some real issues. So, get off my soapbox. Really happy to have you folks watching these videos. Really thankful for that. If you have a project or something that you're working on, we'd love to see it. If you have a comment about safety or a thought about shop safety, we'd love to hear that as well. Remember, at the end of the video is our website address as well as our email address. So thanks for watching, and hope to hear from you.